Welcome. In this tutorial we are going to learn about enumeration, which is a set of symbols with constant value where each symbols can be compared or iterated over. So until now we saw Python variable cannot be constant, but with enum data type we can declare variable with constant value. So after creation of enum object it will not change its value. So let's begin with constructor of enum. So enum constructor will return subclass of enum class with the given name as a parameter, first parameter value. So whatever name given here as a value will be the name of the subclass. Second parameter is names. It is the name of symbols which is given as a string or the iterable. So these are the two mandatory parameters and all others are optional. We will see each optional parameter with an example. So let's begin constructing first enum object. So as you can see here, first we need to import enum from enum module, and here we will provide two mandatory arguments. First one is the value, which is the name of subclass of a enum class, which will be written by this constructor, and the string. Here we are providing symbols in a string separated by space. Okay, so first we will check is it the return class is a subclass of enum class. As we can see, the class which is returned by enum constructor is a subclass of enum. Now let's print the enum object. So here it is saying enum plan, and if we check the type, it is enum meta. And if we want to print all the elements of enum, we have to collect them into the any container data type. So here we can either provide list or tuple, and if we execute it, that container will have all the elements of given enum. As you can see here, it is creating all the given names as a symbol, and it will assign automatic value beginning from 1, and it will be incremented by 1 for each element. Okay, so it will begin 1 for diamond up to 4 for silver. So these are the consumer plan which is being offered to the customer. Next example is we can also give names of symbols separated by comma. So it will return the same elements. Okay, same way we can also separate them by comma and space. So if we execute it, it will return the same elements. Now if we want to begin the default value with other value than 1, then we can provide argument start. So it will begin value assigning first element as a given value. So here diamond will have value 101, platinum will have 102, and so on. So as we can see here, earlier it was beginning from 1. If we provide start at 101, it will begin from the given integer and it will increment by 1. Now next constructor is we will provide values as a iterable, and iterable contains inside iterable as an element which contains two value. First is a symbol and its value. Okay, so if we execute it, as we can see here, it is constructing same enum object. And here in iterator we can provide any random integer value. So here we are providing custom integer value for each consumer plan. As you can see here, it is not in any particular order. So if we execute it, it will assign given value. Next example is a constructor with mapping. So instead of providing iterable of iterables, here we are providing mapping, which is containing key value pair, key as a symbol and value as the value of the enumeration. Okay. So if you execute it, as you can see here, it is returning same elements. Now, until now we have seen the value as an integer, but for enum we can assign any Python value as the value of the enumeration. So here in this example, as you can see here, we have assigned the value as the string. Okay, and here we are assigning value as a tuple object. So if we execute it, as we can see here, these are the enum elements holding string and tuple object. So for enum object, there is no restriction on the type of value, but the symbol must be string. Now next example is a constructor with type parameter. So in type parameter, we can provide any mixin class which is either part of enum module or custom created subclass that will be inherited from the when creating the subclass of a enum class. So here, for example, we have taken IntEnum, which is used for comparing value of a enum with integer. So normally if you compare enum element with integer, it will always return false because they are both of different types. Okay, so first we will check output without giving type. So it is constructing normal enum, which is a subclass of enum class, and if we compare enum value with integer, it will return false no matter which integer value we are providing. But if we are inheriting from IntEnum class, you are allowed to compare enum values with integer value. So if we compare it, as we can see here, the value is 1, so 1 equal to 1 will return true for it. As we can see here, it is returning true. Next is module argument. So if you are using pickle and you want to pickle the enum object, you need to provide module as a module name here. So after giving the module name, you will be able to pickle the enum object. Okay. So here, as we can see here, we are running inside the Python console, so it is returning the module name as a main. So for pickle protocol 4 and later, it relies on qualname. Okay, so same we can provide with the parameter qualname. So here we will provide the package name or the qualname here. So same can be accessed when pickling the enum object. Okay, so here we can see it has given qualname. So qualname is a path from the module's global scope to the class or a function or a method defined in that module. Okay, we will see them in details in upcoming session. Okay, next is accessing a particular element. So here we have created enum of set of symbol. So we want to access a particular symbol. So we can do that with using plan. So here is the variable name dot the name of symbol here. Okay. So if we access it, it will return that enum element. Same way we can also use square bracket syntax, inside which we are providing the name of symbol in string, which will return the same enum symbol. Okay, and we can also access element by their value. Here we are providing inside brackets, we are providing value for given plan, which will return this enum element diamond. Okay, so here we can see it is returning the same element diamond. Now each element or each symbol of enum data type have two attributes. First one is value, which returns the value of enum or symbol, and name will return the name of that enum symbol. So let's execute it. As you can see here, if you try to access plan dot diamond dot value, it will return 1 and it will return 3 for gold. And if we access name, it will return name of plan instead of returning element plan dot diamond. We can also iterate over enum object using for each loop. So if we iterate over it, it will return enum symbol, and from enum symbol we can access its attribute and value. So if we execute it, as you can see here, it is returning enum element, and we are accessing name and value attributed. Next is enum members are hashable, so that can be used as a key of a dictionary. So any enum symbol or element can be used as a key for the dictionary. So we will create default dictionary, and we will use enum element as a key to store given values. And after storing value, if we print dictionary object, it will look like this. So instead of storing any string, here we are storing enum element as a key. So in order to access, we also need to pass enum element. Okay, here we are providing value of enum or enum element itself. So if we execute it, so here we are providing value 1, which will be returning the diamond element, and for that diamond element it will fetch its value this. Okay, and for gold it is returning its respective value. Next is we can also extend enum class to create subclass of enum class. Until now we were using constructor function which was returning subclass of Enum class. Until now we haven't seen the object-oriented programming, so don't worry about the syntax of class. We will see in detail in upcoming session. So but for now the class is declared using class syntax, and here we are providing the name of class and we are extending the class inside the bracket. So whatever the names provided by comma separated classes which will be inherited, so their attributes and function will be inherited in our newly created class. So after extending enum, we can define the symbols for enum. So here we are providing the name of symbol and its value, and if we print it, it will print same enum object which we were creating which was created using Enum Constructor. And same way we can access elements of the enum, and same attributes are also accessible, and same for loop also. So if we execute it, here we have accessed element. Okay, here we are returning value of given element and the name of element, and after that we are iterating for each element of enumeration, and we are printing name and value. Next is enum can contain only unique symbols. So in iterator, if you try to assign duplicate symbol with different value, it will not create enum object or enum subclass. As we can see here, it will give you a type error. Same way, if you are extending and if you are providing duplicate symbol, it will give you same error. So it will not create and return subclass of enum class. But enum can contain duplicate values. So here in this example, we can see that it is containing duplicate value for on hold and request more information, both containing value 11. So whatever symbol defined later will serve as an alias for the earlier symbol. So this request information will serve as an alias for on hold. So if we access this element, it should return on hold. Okay, as you can see here, both are containing same value, and if we try to access status dot request information, it will return element on hold, which is an original element. So this will be serving as an alias for earlier element. And if you try to access it with value, it will always return the first element. As you can see here, it is returning on hold instead of request information. Now if you want to ensure that enum does not contain any duplicate values or alias, you can import unique decorator and you can apply that decorator on class. Again, we haven't introduced decorators, so for just now decorators are written as a @ and the name of decorator, which will wrap the given class or the function. So we are applying that decorator which will check for any duplicate values for all the symbols, and if it is containing duplicate values, it will not allow to create that particular class. So here there are no duplicates, so if we create it, it should allow the creation of a subclass. But if we provide duplicate values for aliasing using unique decorator, then it will raise value error that duplicate values found, and for this given elements. Next is auto, which generates automatic value for elements. So earlier we saw for the enum constructor, if we are not providing values and we are just providing name of symbols in string, it was assigning automatically value beginning from 1, and it was increasing each value by 1 for next value. So same here, if you assign auto for each element inside class, it will assign value automatically for each symbols. Now if you want to generate custom value, you can use this special method generate next value, which takes 4 arguments: name, the name of the symbol, start is a beginning value from which it begins the assigning the auto value, count, which gets incremented by 1 at each step, and last values, which is list containing all values which were previously generated. So if we want to check, so this method will be called for each symbol. So whenever the class is loaded in memory, it will invoke this method, special method, for each symbol. So if we print inside this parameter, we will get an idea what are the values are getting passed. Let's execute it. As you can see here, it is beginning calling from this function with these parameters. So here we have taken start as a custom value. So here we are assigning 101 as a start. So count will begin from 0. If you don't provide value for start will begin from 1. Okay, and count will get incremented by 1 by default each time when it is called, and last value is a list which will be containing all the values generated previously. So here we are not storing or modifying anything, but we are returning start plus count. So start is always 101 and count is getting incremented by 1, and we are returning the value beginning from 101. So all elements are created in order beginning from given start 101. Next is comparing the enum values. So after creating enum subclass, we can compare two enum symbols. So for normal enum subclass, we cannot compare the enum value with other values. If we try to compare with other values, it will always return false. And if we try to compare with the same symbols of given class, so here we have created status class, which is subclass of enum, and if we compare only elements of the given subclass, then and then it will perform the comparison operation correctly. So if we create another class and if we compare the elements of that class with this class, it will always return false for subclass of enum. So first we will compare the elements of that particular class. So here we have taken that element processing into the variable and we are comparing with the element. So here processing double equal to will compare the value, so it will return true, this will return false, and not equal to will return true if both are not equal. So here it will return true. So let's execute it. As we can see here, if both elements are containing same, then it will return true. So same way we will check now comparing enum with other value. So here we have stored app status as status processing, and if we try to compare it with string processing, which is having same name as a symbol, it will return false. And if we try to compare with value also, app status processing having value 2, if we compare it, it will also return false. As we can see here, for both it is returning false. But we can compare the value using value attribute as we saw earlier. So if we compare their name and value, it will return true. So what if we want to by default compare the enum object with integer? So for that, IntEnum class is used. So if we create subclass of IntEnum class, it will by default allow you to compare enum symbols with integer or the other symbol or other enum classes. So here we have created two subclass of IntEnum, response code and application code. So for IntEnum, if we compare two different element of different enums which is having same value, so here we can see internal server error and internal processing error, both are having same value. So if we compare those two enum elements, then it will return true for IntEnum. But if you are creating subclass of enum class, it will not return true because both types are different. So let's begin comparison. So here first we will compare enum with integer value. It is returning true because OK is having value 200. So we can now compare the value without writing OK dot value. And if we are comparing two different element of two different subclass, it is returning true because both elements are holding same value. So their value is compared rather than their type and name of symbol. And we can also perform addition and subtraction operation on the value of enum. So if we are performing those operation on enum element, it will be applied on the value. So if we execute it, it will return whatever the value for this enum 200 plus 202 equal to 402. Okay. Same way we can apply minus. Next is using IntEnum as a dictionary key. So same as normal enum, we can also use it as a dictionary key. So it is also valid dictionary key if you are creating subclass of IntEnum class. Now next topic is IntFlag. So it is a IntEnum with bitwise operator. So we will be able to use binary AND or XOR or ones complement with enum element. So here we have created permission subclass of IntFlag, which is holding value 4 for read, 2 for write and 1 for execute. We are assigning same value as Unix system file system permissions. So we have created 2 other permission also. So this is read and execute, and this is read write execute. So we can perform any bitwise operator here. So if we execute it, read execute, read and execute is merge. So if we perform AND operation, read write execute and read execute, it will return read execute. And if we perform XOR between those, so it will return permission write only. And if we take ones complement permission, then it will inverse it. So read and execute, so remaining value is write. So these two values are combination of these 3 values. We can also apply with integer value with the enum value. So if we apply it, it will return their respective enum value instead of integer value. So here we can see 4 is for read operation here, as you can see. So read and read or X will write execute will be read and execute. Read and read and execute will be read only, and read write execute XOR read execute will be read only write. So if we are performing AND operation and if any of the flag is not activated, it will return special value 0. So 0 value we haven't declared here, but it will be assigned here. Next is we can also perform addition subtraction, which will return value instead of enum element. Okay. And we can also apply membership operator. So if we check read execute inside read write execute, it will return true because it is a part of it, or it is a subclass of. Next is flag. Flag is same as IntFlag, but which it does not allow you to compare enum values or enum symbols with integer. So this creates confusion, and it is returning enum element with integer value. So that is not allowed with the flag class. So if you are creating subclass of flag, and it is recommended to assign values using auto, and auto will assign value in power of 2 order. So first element will have value 2 raised to 0 equal to 1, 2 raised to 2 equal to 2, and so on. And here we are creating alias for combination of given element. So it is created using those bitwise operator. So if we execute for this flag, it will perform same as we saw for earlier. So read and execute with OR will combine it, and will perform AND operation, XOR will return only right, because R and X will be cross out, and this is complement of read and execute will be only right. So if you try to mix with integer with subclass of flag, it will give you error, that type error, the unsupported operation. So whenever you are using enum, try to use it subclass of enum or the flag class instead of using IntEnum or IntFlag, because they create confusion in terms of operation. So if you are mixing with other enum classes, you don't remember that which are the subclasses of enum class and IntEnum or IntFlag. So if you want consistent operation, use flag, which allows you bitwise operator, but it does not allow to mix up with integer. So that brings us to end of the video.